It's time for another episode of MoState Update, the official podcast of Missouri State Athletics. Here are your hosts, Corey Riggs, and the voice of the Bears, Art Haynes.
Well, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MoState Update. I'm Art Haynes, along with Corey Riggs, and we're going to take you through the highlights in Missouri State sports. Starting off, Corey, with Lady Bear basketball. They remain undefeated at home on the season. They are 18-5 overall. They trounced Evansville on Super Bowl Sunday, 86-57.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody got a win on Super Bowl Sunday.
Indeed, other than the Eagles.
It was not the team I was rooting for, but I was rooting for the Lady Bears. They led by as many as 25 points in the fourth quarter, shot the lights out, and continue to get good performances, Art, from their younger players, including Lainey Douglas, their freshman post player.
She's now 3 consecutive Freshman of the Week in the Missouri Valley Conference. Cayman Beckemeyer, the sophomore, also had a great day. The Lady Bears were 11 for 13 at the free throw line down the stretch in that game. Mm-hmm. And Douglas and Beckemeyer had 17 points apiece to lead the team.
Yep, Paige Rocca and Kylie Bess also added 12 points. There were 4 Lady Bears in double figures on the afternoon, and Beth Cunningham has got them rolling. They are number 2 in the Missouri Valley Conference standings with a 10-2 record. Only Belmont is in front of them, I believe, by just a single game.
And Belmont's only loss in the conference was to the Lady Bears. So they'll have a tough stretch at the end where they go to Northern Iowa and Drake and later to Belmont and Murray State. But in the meantime, they really got it rolling. Their next action is Thursday, a road game at Southern Illinois at 6 p.m. We mentioned Lainey Douglas, Valley Freshman of the Week, 3rd straight week. She averaged 18.5 points, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks, and shot 68% from the field, 15 of 22 last week in those 2 games.
Yeah, she's starting to get on a run for Freshman of the Week, kind of like Lacey Stokes had last year with Newcomer of the Week. It seemed like every week Lacey had a chance to take home that hardware, and right now for 3 straight weeks, Lainey Douglas has been able to do that for the Lady Bears.
So in the win over Indiana State on Friday, Sarah Linthicum sat out that game with a concussion, and Lacey with an injury sat out a little bit of time, but she came back like Willis Reed, came out of the locker room and performed and played again on Sunday, and Linthicum was back in the action on Sunday, so good to see both of those.
No, good to see that. Meanwhile, Art, the Bears are healthy, but that hasn't helped them get back into the win column yet, as had a tough game at Belmont that they were in. They led in the second half. It was a 1-possession game with about 7 minutes to go in Nashville, and then Belmont just ran away and hit on them.
Belmont finished the game on an 18-3 surge to win by 17 points. Jalen Hampton had a big game, season-high 20 points, 9 for 9 from the field. The school record for a single game is 10 for 10, set by Lou Shepard back in the 60s. So that was pretty rarefied air there for Jalen.
Yeah, and just a unique performance for him. I think everybody that's followed the team closely this season knows what a gifted rebounder he is, especially on the offensive glass. That's where a lot of his points came from, were second-chance points, putbacks. But he also did a great job of anticipating, moving without the basketball, and cutting to the basket for the Bears to get buckets. He even had a dunk in transition at one point in time. So really nice performance by the St. Louis native.
Bears return to Great Southern Bank Arena Wednesday, looking to avenge a December loss to Evansville with a 7 o'clock rematch. MoState has won 6 of the last 7 meetings with Evansville and 10 of the last 12. This game will also feature a special halftime performance.
Yep, Red Panda is here. I know there's a lot of people excited about it. She is world famous, one of the biggest halftime shows on the NBA circuit. So really even just surprising that we could get her to come to Great Southern Bank Arena. So that will be entertaining, but hopefully that will not be the only reason you're entertained Wednesday night, assuming that Mother Nature lets us get out and get to the game on Wednesday night.
Right, game will be played, but the Bears were held to 40 points by Evansville, really a season low point in late December. So time to get back on the Purple Aces.
Yep.
Missouri State tennis coach Austin Hale picked up his first win as head coach with a 6-1 victory Sunday over Central Arkansas.
Yeah, it was nice. That was coming off of playing Kansas City and having to go head-to-head with his father,
right?
Who he learned the sport under. But the top two doubles teams got wins. They ended up sweeping doubles. And then there were some big wins in the singles matches as well. So congratulations to Coach Hale getting his first career win, taking over the program now after the departure of Ellie Berger.
So the Bears head back out on the road for the rest of the month. They'll face Missouri February 15th. That's Saturday. And then the next afternoon they take on SIU Edwardsville.
Yep, so it's that time of year. A lot of indoor tennis being played, and hopefully Coach Hale and the ladies can keep it rolling.
Missouri State softball closed out its first weekend to play in the Paradise Classic with a 13-0 loss to Clemson on Sunday morning.
Well, we talked to Coach Griffith before she went on that road trip, and she told us, and I don't think it was on camera, I think it was off camera, but I think it's okay to share, which is this was a tournament that she wanted to get into last year. And had her coaching staff work on it to get them in the field. But last year it was a really good mid-major tournament. There were a lot of other schools, similar size, similar talent to Missouri State. And then they get on the phone this year. They say, you're in the field, but look at who all's going to be there. And it's all P4, P5 schools.
Yeah,
it's all
Kansas, Ole Miss.
SEC schools. So, yeah, they knew that they were going to have an uphill battle in every matchup down there. But you know what? Kayla Ulrich had a good showing, had 2 of the 4 hits that day for Missouri State. And, they'll turn around and go back on the road because it's hard to play in Springfield in February. So they'll get ready for the I-10 Border Classic over the Valentine's weekend, and they'll head south down toward Texas and Louisiana and get matchups with Lamar and McNeese. So some more opportunities for Coach Griffith and the softball Bears this weekend.
Lamar in Beaumont, Texas, and McNeese in Lake Charles, about an hour apart. So they'll be playing down there this weekend, or the weekend of the 14th through the 16th.
Yep.
Missouri State Stunt concluded its first ever tournament at Dallas Baptist University Saturday. They were swept by Oklahoma Baptist and Cal Baptist. One was the defending Division II national champ, and the other is top-ranked at Division I. So tough competition to begin. Then a morning matchup Sunday against the Texas Longhorns and a late-night bout against the Michigan State Spartans. They will be back in action this weekend, another tournament hosted by Oklahoma Baptist at the Noble Complex in Norman.
Yep, they're going to take on Oklahoma State as well as Oklahoma Baptist again. So just wish Coach Wingo and the ladies a lot of luck. They are not ducking anybody as a first-year program. They definitely scheduled up to get the season started.
They'll also play Texas Women's University in Drury as part of that event. And then they'll have rapid-fire home games against Oklahoma State and a rematch against Oklahoma Baptist next week. And it won't be at Killian this year, which is under construction, so they'll be at Thompson Field at Metter Park.
Yep. But speaking of schedules, Art, how about the big announcement late last week that the Missouri State football schedule, its first in CUSA, is out and available for the public?
Yeah, 4 home, 4 road conference games. There are 12 teams in the league, so the Bears will not play Delaware, Jacksonville State, and Sam Houston State. They'll play the other 8, 4 of them at home, starting with Western Kentucky, which may be the best program in the league right now. That'll be the home conference opener.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it's almost like Scott Purrier was back on the selection committee for this schedule, because to get the Hilltoppers, the alma mater of the Bears head coach Ryan Beard, where he was a standout defensive back playing in the secondary for the Hilltoppers, is great. That's coming off the 3 huge non-conference games at USC, at Marshall, and then home against the college football playoff members from SMU. So this is going to be a ton of fun. And then you got to circle all those Wednesdays in October, because October 8th, October 22nd, and the 29th, the Bears will have 3 games in the month of October, and they are all Wednesday night games at Middle Tennessee State, at New Mexico State, and at home on a Wednesday night at Plaster Stadium against Florida International.
So Conference USA, the whole month of October, the games are played on Wednesday nights on ESPN. So
yeah, could land on ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, and some of them end up on CBS College Sports Network. So one way or the other, a lot of national television opportunities.
So you got to buy in the middle of that, and everybody doesn't play the week before the Wednesday game starts. So really interesting scheduling in Wednesday, and then it's back to Saturday in November as it is in September.
Yep, you got 2 road games in November at Liberty. They are one of the absolute best in CUSA. And then at Kennesaw State, who's only moved up in the last couple of years, the Bears will have home matchups November 15th against UTEP, and then we'll close out their inaugural season in FBS football with La Tech on November 29th. So the Bears will have a game the weekend following Thanksgiving to wrap up the season.
Kennesaw State was 2-10 last year, and as for Louisiana Tech, the teams have played one time. That was in Ruston, Louisiana, and the Bears won that game back in 1987. They were 5-8 last year.
Well, either way, there are wins on the table for Missouri State. I don't know how many. I know our friend Wyatt Wheeler's got them with 5 in the newspaper. And I tell you what, buddy, I think if Coach Beard and company get 5 wins in this first year, I think that would be a banner season.
Got them going 4-4 in Conference USA. So I would take that and run the first year. And
yes,
I think that is very doable. So kudos to Wyatt. Hope he's right. Well, when we continue, we'll visit with first-year Bears baseball coach Joey Hawkins on the verge of opening the season at Sam Houston State this weekend. That's next on MoState Update. Welcome back to MoState Update. Well, our first guest is Joey Hawkins, new baseball coach of the Bears, but he has been on the scene for 3 years as an assistant. Before that was a player here. Hawk, welcome to the show, and here we go. Game week.
Thanks for having me on. You said it. Took the words out of my mouth. Game week. Can't wait.
You go to Sam Houston in Huntsville, Texas. Hopefully warmer weather there.
Yeah, it looks to be all right so far, maybe in the 60s. So we're excited about it. We're going to be under the lights on Friday night, and well-respected program for a long time. Really good head coach down there. So going to be a good early test for us to get on the road and see what our guys are made of.
First year as head coach, I'm sure you're confident in everything that you've done up to this point, but got a few butterflies?
Not yet. I think I probably will once that bus pulls up to the ballpark and you get off the bus and you get ready to go. But I always say if you don't get a little bit of stress or pressure, I don't know if your goals are big enough. So this is a job that I've always wanted, and very grateful to have it. And now it's just time to go do this thing and have some fun with it.
Well, I mean, you were coaching in the Cardinal organization and made a conscious decision to leave pro baseball to come back here. So I think that speaks to how much you appreciate Missouri State.
Yeah, I love this place, and the other side of it with leaving professional baseball that excited me the most was just the intensity that comes with college athletics and specifically college baseball. So, opening weekend, there's nothing like it. It's going to feel like playoff baseball for us, and like I said, I'm really excited to see how our guys do. They're prepared, and they're ready to go.
Last year, 114 home runs, and you've got most of that power coming back and then some. Should be a good offensive team, I would think.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot of recognition over the last few years. You mentioned the power numbers, but again, I think anytime you can have the veteran presence that we're going to have in the middle of that lineup, it just takes a little bit of stress off other areas of your team. So we're excited about all those guys we returned, but I think there's a bunch of guys that took a lot of steps forward this year and created a lot more depth for us, both in the lineup and then on the mound as well, which was an area we needed to get better at.
Right, because for all the offensive success, the pitching had an ERA of over 6 last year. So to that end, what improvements do you think will be made in the pitching staff?
Well, I think the biggest thing, we really like where our rotation is at going into opening weekend, and we're actually going to have Tyler Charlton's going to throw on Sunday. He's the one guy that has started some games here, but Michael Yusupchak's a freshman. He's going to go Friday, and Jackson Holmes is going to go Saturday. So 2 new guys in there, which allowed us to actually move Jason Shaw, Caleb Thomas, 2 guys that finished the year in our rotation, back to the bullpen. So it gives us a lot of depth in the pen, and that's something that you really need when you play a 3-game set, because you can't have your top guys throwing every single game. So I'm excited to mix and match and manage the pitching staff from a decision standpoint, and these guys have worked hard enough where they've given us a lot of options for Deck and I to decide between.
Is that anything, Joey, that maybe keeps you up at night going into the first series? Is the idea now of having a say in when that call to the bullpen is made, what arm you want to bring up? Because I understand that with you and Deck McGuire, your new pitching coach, that you're both going to be weighing in on this. It's not just one or just the other.
Right. Yeah, we'll work together. But no, this is like the part of the job I've been really excited about. I've been such a baseball nut my whole life. I love the insides and outs of the game and managing it and looking for matchups and ways to set up players for success. So the first weekend's tough, right? Like we're going to play Sam Houston State. They return 3 pitchers and maybe like 4.5 players that kind of played a decent amount in their lineup. So like, what are you game planning against, right? Yeah. So that's where you really got to pay attention to just what are our guys good at? What are our pitchers good at? Let's get them out there. Let's get their feet wet, and let's try and win a series here. And then as you get going on, you got to pay attention a little bit more, to more details, some data points, and like I said, some matchups.
So quite a statement starting a freshman day 1 on Friday. Tell us about him.
Look, I mean, I tell every recruit this, like, we're gonna play the best players, right? And Michael Yusupchak for us, he's from Edmonton, Alberta in Canada. He played on Team Canada. He's pitched on the biggest stage in the world. You won't find a kid his age with more poise. And you need poise on Friday night. You need mound presence. You need the ability to go pitch for pitch with the other team's best guy, and that's what he's done since he's gotten here, right? You want to talk about the best piece of development for a pitcher? Face our lineup, all the time since August, right? And he's done extremely well. His last outing was lights out against our team, and he's ready for it. We're looking for a guy on Friday night to set the tone. We're looking for a guy on Saturday to be the guy that can add a little bit of stability to the weekend, not have to tax the pen. And then you're looking for your best option on Sundays, and I think that's how our rotation's laid out, and I'm really excited about it.
You had that in a guy last year, Brant Thompson, that I've always felt was a really good tone setter. The problem was after Friday, things got a little bit dicey and tended to move around quite a bit. So you talk about this staff going up against your hitters. Everybody knows about Bogey. Everybody knows that Zach Stewart is back. You've got Nick Rodriguez back, but maybe what's one of the names that's new to the roster that it's maybe only going to take a series or two before fans realize, wow, this guy is a big get.
Well, actually, a guy that we're getting back, which is Jake McCutcheon.
Absolutely.
Broke his arm last year, first weekend in conference. He's our most improved player by far.
Dove headlong into the wall at Indiana State.
Yeah, we'll blame their warning track for that one,
or lack thereof.
It ain't no Hammond's Field, but
no.
It's got a graveyard behind it.
Right, exactly. We've hit a few balls in there, but no, Jake McCutcheon's our most improved player by far. He's a guy that took a massive step forward physically. He hits the ball extremely hard now. He can walk. It's probably one of our most competitive ABs. And that guy can play short, second, left, center, and right. So he gives us a ton of flexibility, which I love. The other one, Max Knight has been brought up before, talking to media and stuff. He's from Oklahoma State. He's a guy that's going to give us a lot of innings on the mound as a left-handed pitcher. Also play first base, and he can hit the ball really hard. And I like those kind of guys. So. We're excited about those guys. Carter Bergman's another one that's ready to step into that starting role behind the plate. He's been kind of the de facto backup the last 2 years and did a great job at it, but took a huge step forward leadership-wise. He's going to be a really, really good guy for our pitchers to work with.
So Sam Houston, not only the season opening series, but they're a conference opponent in the new league next year.
That's right. Patrick and I were talking, Patrick Ransdell, our AD, that we're going to be the guinea pig for the Conference USA. So we'll get a nice taste of what that travel's like, what those facilities are like, and then, most important, what's that opponent like. So we're excited to kick off our season with them.
We always talk about, and you and I have had these conversations recently about college sports, college baseball being an arms race. guarding against the transfer portal, generating NIL dollars, all of it is a ton of work for a coach and his staff while still doing the job that originally the only job you had to worry about, which was worrying about balls and strikes and putting the right guys out on the field. When you look at what you've assembled and the guys that you protected from last year to this year, you got to be pretty proud of the work you guys did.
Yeah, extremely proud. It goes to relationships. This program forever has been built on people. So we got great people here. Those four big guys in the middle of our lineup coming back, that just speaks to, our coaching staff, Jeff Jimenez, Jeremy Colonna, and then obviously Deck McGuire doing a great job with our pitchers. But guys want to play for these people in our program, and that's step number one. Obviously there's more that goes into it, like you said, the NIL and fundraising money and facilities and good environment for them to be a part of. But we couldn't be more thrilled than the roster we put together.
On the non-conference schedule, the usual Mizzou home and home, that's always popular on both ends. You got Arkansas home and home.
Yeah, no, I've worked with Arkansas the last couple of years to try and get that back. How it shook out last year, we had to go down there for a two-game set, but this year and moving forward, we're going to play a home and home every year, which I think is great for both fan bases, great for Springfield. And then, like you said, we got Missouri on there for two. Oklahoma State coming to our house as well. And then the interesting one, the Central Florida matchup, which is exciting. So
I wanted to ask you, that was a late ad. That wasn't a part of the
Right.
original schedule. How did you land that matchup?
I left a little wiggle room in our schedule in case we needed to add one. Rich Wallace is a guy that I've known for a while just from recruiting. And when I was at St. Louis University, he was at Jacksonville University, and we played each other, which was random. So he's the head coach at UCF, and he called me out of the blue one day and said, hey, we got our Big 12 schedule. We're playing at Oklahoma State, then at Texas Tech, and we just want to stay on the road. So I said, come on over to Hammons Field, and we'll show you a good time. So we're excited about that. I think it'll be great for our fans and for Springfield, and it's in May too, so hopefully have some really nice weather.
Mm-hmm. Second weekend, you got a road series at Mississippi State, always a power in the SEC.
Yeah, I mentioned this last week to someone. I think it's a great opportunity for our program to go in there and try and win. We're not going there for an experience. We're not going there to get our feet wet. This is huge for our resume at the end of the year. This team's ready to go in and fight pitch for pitch with those guys. But I do think it is great for our guys to see what it looks like, right? Those guys won a national championship a few years ago. Yeah. So to be able to go into that, see what that looks like, because that's, those are things we want to do. We want to be in the postseason playing in those environments against those programs. So to be able to do it in week 2 can help us in a lot of different ways, but I'm excited to see that one for sure.
We played down there like 30 years ago. I went down and did the game. I guarantee my broadcast booth was nicer than the hotel room I stayed in that night.
There you go. I think their stadium the other day got voted number 1 in the SEC. So incredible fan base down there for them. But like I said, we're going down there to win some games. We're not going down there just for a field trip. That's for sure.
So what are going to be the keys to success this year?
Look, I think we need to use our veteran lineup as kind of the anchor, right? Those guys got to be able to show up, understand what it takes to win a game offensively, whether that's playing how we play our game with a little bit of slug, or if we got to play a little short game. Those are things that we've developed a ton this year. But at the end of the day, I don't care if it's the big leagues or the College World Series or Division II baseball. You got to pitch and play defense. I think we got the personnel to do it now on the mound. It's going to be my job and Deck's job to set those guys up for success and put them in good situations to succeed. And then we got to do it on defense. We got a lot of flexibility, a lot of really good athletes out there, and that's a good place to start.
Let me ask you one more thing about big picture in college baseball. When you played, of course, you were known for bunting.
Yeah.
And that was more of a part of the game. I mean, this is even in softball now, which used to be a bunting game, and now everything's turned to more power. Why is that?
I don't know, just maybe a different style of play. I think what also comes with the power offensively is like guys are throwing harder than they ever have.
Yeah.
You're seeing way more 95 to 100 in college baseball than we've ever seen, right? So sometimes getting a guy on first and bunting him over might not be the best way to score, right? Sometimes you got to get a guy, you got to grind out a walk and, hope for the 2-run or 3-run homer or ball in the gap. So, us being able to do that is amazing. But I will tell you, Jeff Jimenez, our assistant coach, did a really good job developing our short game this year. Because, look, we're going to play a Valley game where that wind's howling in, right? You got to find a way to scratch, right? So I think we're prepared to win in a lot of different ways.
One other thing before we let you go, Coach. So you take over the program this year. Both of the two previous coaches are still here, still great resources for you in Coach Rowe and Coach Gutton. But now this year we make some changes off the field. Baseball goes back on the radio this year.
Yeah.
And you get a coach's show, which is something that we've not done for baseball in the past. How excited are you to have that platform to kind of brag on your guys and talk about the program each week?
I think it's great. I'm a talker. I love talking baseball. If you spend any time with me on the bus or at the hotel, I don't sleep a ton. I love bragging about this program. You can't buy history and tradition. We've earned it. So to be able to sell that to our community is important. But, no, I think, again, each week a chance to get on there, not just myself, but our assistant coaches, our players, maybe some alumni, getting on there and talking baseball is just going to be great for Springfield.
It's going to be great. It's going to be Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock on the Jock. It'll be that's where the baseball games will be this season as well. Some of them based on conflicts, maybe streaming only, but once we get past basketball season, the good majority of the baseball games the rest of the way should be available on the radio, and I know that will make at least two Bears baseball fans happy because they've talked in my ear about it for the last 2 years. So I know Coach Rowe and Coach Gutton will be happy about
my front office.
Well, Joey, thanks so much. We're excited about the season, and do a great job. I know you will.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Go Bears.
Joey Hawkins, baseball coach. We're going to talk a new sport at Missouri State when we come back on MoState Update. Welcome back to MoState Update. Well, our next guest is the coach of acro, one of the newest sports at Missouri State, Kimberly Adkins. Kimmy, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk all things acrobatics and tumbling.
So you're from the Deep South. Tell me about your background.
I am originally from Georgia. I'm from a place called Lovejoy. It's right outside of Atlanta. I went to Lovejoy High School, cheered there. I also did all-star cheerleading at Georgia Heat and several other programs within the area. I then went on to cheer at Mississippi State University. I then went on to do acrobatics and tumbling at Gannon University. That then led me out to Arizona, where I coached all-star cheer for a bit, and then that led me into being the assistant cheer coach at James Madison University. And then I became the head acrobatics and tumbling coach at Davis and Elkins College. And now I am sitting in front of you as the first ever acrobatics and tumbling coach at Missouri State University.
Well, tell us about the sport of acrobatics and tumbling, a combination of gymnastics and cheerleading?
Yes, so acrobatics and tumbling is super special. It's a sport that is for women, by women. Some of the biggest powerhouses in college cheerleading, about 20 years ago, give or take, got together and they wanted more for their athletes and more for, their coaching experience as well. A lot of times in cheerleading, you're mostly just an accessory to a men's sport in order to compete. So you have to do all this game day stuff only to compete once, and you don't get all the same resources as other sports and all of that jazz, right? So these women got together and said, no, let's make this a sport. So they created a sport. They took it to the NCAA and created acrobatics and tumbling, which has paved the way for all of these athletes to have this opportunity, and gymnastics a lot of times too, it's very cutthroat. If you're not getting recruited at like 4 years old, you're probably not going to do gymnastics, right? And it's a shame because there's so much talent out there. So acrobatics and tumbling has opened the door for so many young women to be treated like college athletes, which is so well deserved. They needed a return on the investment.
So of what does an acro competition consist?
So we have 6 events. We have compulsory, we have acro, we have pyramid, we go into a brief halftime, and then we go to toss, tumbling, and team event. Team event is something that compiles everything from the meet and puts it together, and you have 2 minutes and 45 seconds to perform it. Our first event is compulsory. Compulsory is the only thing in our sport that will look the same as the other team. So we are a head-to-head sport, and that is the only thing given to us where there's counts. It's synchronized. There will always be 2 groups, and we consider that the basics of our sport. So we get that over with in the very beginning of the meet, right? And then we go into our acros, which is where the creativity comes, okay? So we get to come up with our own things. We have start values, and you kind of play within those values of how many points you can get out of that, right? And then you come into the pyramid, which we actually just won our first ever pyramid event at our first ever meet out at Presbyterian this past weekend. So being a first-year team, we're super excited about that. And after pyramid, we then go into toss, and that is where you throw the big baskets. There's flips involved. It can go forwards or backwards. We then go into tumbling, which is where you see that floor tumbling that you see in gymnastics a lot. All the floor tumbling, and we do compete on dead mat, so the tumbling is a little different, and we do have requirements there. And then we end it all with a big team routine, like I just mentioned, and everything's head-to-head.
I'm curious, obviously the ladies that are competing for you, you have numbers. So there is also kind of an individual element to acrobatics and tumbling, not just obviously team first.
Yes.
But there is individual recognition there too, right?
There is. So that's what makes this sport so special also. You know, a lot of times with some sports, you know, like cheerleading, you always got that back left group that just can't hit their stunt. So even though your entire team just ran it, hit it, did amazing, you still don't get an opportunity to win sometimes, right? And there's no recognition because you all have to be one. With our sport, you know, we can have a group maybe fall. We can have something happen. We can have whatever, but there's still women who will be recognized for the role that they played and being on the entire meet. Similar to football. You know, we all know that football team that somehow the whole D-line went to go play at an SEC school even though they ain't won a game ever, right? So we kind of function that way as well.
So how is this score judged?
How is the score judged? So we have start values. So we put everything into an SV that we turn in before our meet, and this kind of dictates our numbers and how far we can go. So some things have a 10 value, some have like a 9.5, 9.4. So whatever that value is for you, that's the highest you can go. So you can really only go down from there unless you execute it perfectly, right? So, and we can only gather those points that we get from that. And you can't go above the start value.
How many then are there judges that are making those calls? How many?
There are 3 judges. We have 1 head official, and then there will be 2 other officials there as well.
Okay. I was saying, because I think about it, and there's so many different sports, and not to go off into the weeds, but like with college swimming and diving. I was a big swimmer in high school, and the diving coaches a lot of times would judge the diving. And so
I realized that I went to a diving meet here their senior night. It was amazing, by the way. We are big fans of the dive team because have you noticed the sports are similar? We train similar.
I would see that.
So we love the dive team. And I was surprised to see that the coaches judge too. And I think that's awesome. That's kind of hard. You know, I couldn't imagine, you know, having to judge my kids because I'd either judge too hard or way too easy. There would be no in between.
No in between.
No in between.
You have been a part of a lot of successful programs. What is it like now trying to build your own program here, and what was recruiting to your sport like here in Southwest Missouri?
Oh my gosh. So we had a very short time period to kind of get this together, right? And I was, you know, lucky enough to bring in, oh my gosh, 18 wonderful women from all over the world. You know, we have a girl from Brazil on our team. We have girls from all over the country also. And they all came in and they took a chance on me like I took a chance on them, right? You know, some of them, they committed, you know, 2 weeks before school was starting, you know, changed the entire game of what they were doing. And it has just been this wonderful, beautiful experience. You know, I have mostly freshmen on my team. We are a very young team. I maybe have 2 transfers that have played this sport before. The rest, they're all brand new. So we're teaching new rules. We're teaching a new sport. We're teaching new skills. And they have handled it so wonderfully. This is my favorite team I've ever coached. I feel so lucky to be, I guess as you would say, in the trenches with these girls. It doesn't feel like the trenches when I'm with them. They work so hard. They show up. And like I said, they took a chance on me and themselves. And I'm really, really grateful for that. This has been a wonderful experience.
So to compare it with pro sports, you're like an expansion team here, just getting started.
Yeah, exactly. We're brand new. I guess a little experiment, as you would say.
Do you have any home competitions?
We do. Our first home meet is actually going to be this Saturday at 3 p.m. against Augustana, and we are super excited. We are actually going to debut our team routine at our first home meet this weekend.
So when you talk about the team routines, you start with the compulsory work, which means that's predetermined. Those are the things you have to. When you get into this point where, and you used the word creativity earlier, when you get to that point in the meet, are these things that you design? Is it kind of a group think with the ladies, or do you bring in coaches from the outside, or are there people that I know in some of the cheer and dance team competitions, they'll use a third party to design a routine?
Mm-hmm. So this year we are not utilizing a choreographer. Most teams don't within our routine and team layout. So we have collaborated together. You know, as a coach, I look at my girls. I see what they're capable of, what they feel good about, right? It's always the goal is to put something out there that they feel safe and confident doing. We also have music that goes with it, so we get to create our own music. I did hire someone to create our own music, Terry from Force. He is amazing, and we're excited to debut that music too. We've incorporated a lot of Chapel Roan, you know, a Midwest queen, and we wanted
popular.
to
From right
here in Springfield, Willard, right? So we wanted to pay a little bit of tribute to her, and you know, she has spoken about, you know, cheerleading and dance and all of those things. So we definitely thought it was really important to put her in our music this year. But it is a group effort, even down to acros, pyramids. You know, me and the girls get together and we say, hey, this is going to work. I feel comfortable doing this. I don't. And we put it in. And, you know, my whole goal as a coach is to make them feel good and great and confident and love everything that they're doing with this sport.
I get a kick out of this, Art, and I don't think most people would think about this, what Coach Kimmy and the girls have had to go through to get a home meet. I actually walked in the Hammond Student Center gymnasium the other day when they were practicing for the home meet because everybody has to learn with the team. They've never put on an event with acrobatics and tumbling here. So the lighting people, the sound people, the scores table, Jimmy Wright, trying to figure out when we start the clock and everything else. It is there was a lot of education going on in Hammond Student Center the other day to get you ready to host your first couple of home meets.
There was, and how lucky are we to have such a supportive administration who wants to learn about our sport and wants to help us and wants to know what's going on and make sure it's perfect for our first home meet so we can represent MoState the best way we can. We're very lucky.
Kimmy, we can feel your enthusiasm, and I know your girls can too. We appreciate you being on with us, and the best of luck with the program.
Oh, thank you, and thank you so much for having me and allowing me to just kind of gush about my girls and my sport. And as always, go Bears!
Go Bears! Right. Kimberly Adkins, the coach of acro at Missouri State.
Come check us out.
We'll be back with a final wrap-up right after this.
All right, everybody, welcome back for a final segment here on episode number 11 of MoState Update. A great show so far, but before we let you go, as always, we want to wrap up with kind of the goings-on the Missouri State campus this week as the podcast drops every Wednesday. And there will, of course, as always, be basketball on campus this week. Tonight, Wednesday night, if you're watching the premiere of our podcast, you'll know that the Missouri State men are at home looking to draw even with the Evansville Purple Aces after the Bears fell to the Aces back in December in one of their early Missouri Valley Conference matchups. That is a 7 o'clock game here at Great Southern Bank Arena on Wednesday night. And at halftime, we get the performance of Red Panda, which is a big act. Normally you see it at her at NBA games all across the country, one of the biggest halftime acts there is. She is making a stop here in Springfield and performing for Bears fans this Wednesday night. So if you don't have your tickets already, go ahead and make sure to go to MissouriStateBears.com/tickets and pick those up. The Lady Bears will be back home on Sunday afternoon, February 16th at 2 o'clock, looking for another victory over Valparaiso. That is a big big day because it is Kids Day, which means kids 12 and under get in free, but it is also a Heroes Ticket special day. That means any military or first responder can have access to $5 tickets for the Lady Bears game against Valpo. For the kids, there will be pregame face painting, and there'll be a chance to get down on the GSB Arena floor and get your shot up after the game. So make sure and bring the kiddos over for the Lady Bears game Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock. On Saturday, our new acro team, we introduced you to Coach Kimmy earlier in the show. They are making their home debut against Augustana. That is a 3 o'clock match on the main court inside Hammond Student Center. So come out and support Coach Kimmy and the acrobatics and tumbling team here at Missouri State in their first ever home meet. And then, of course, Art always reminds you all, don't forget to come out to Inside the Den on Monday nights at Big Shots Golf. The basketball season is in the home stretch. We've only got about 3 more coaches shows left this season. So Monday night, 7 o'clock, first 30 minutes with Tom Ladd and head coach Beth Cunningham. Second 30 minutes from 7:30 to 8 with the voice of the Bears, Art Haynes, myself, and head coach Conzo Martin. Each coach always brings a player that we get to talk to, and it's a really great opportunity to get to know the coaches and the players of our programs a little bit better. So next Monday night, 7 to 8 o'clock. If you can't be there, you can listen on the radio or you can stream it live on the Varsity Network app. That's going to do it for episode number 11 of MoState Update. Our thanks, of course, to the voice of the Bears, Art Haynes, for joining us earlier. First-year head baseball coach Joey Hawkins and first-year acrobatics and tumbling coach Kimberly Atkins, all guests on the show for this one. Until next time, I'm Corey Riggs saying so long. We'll have more MoState Update next time.
You've been listening to the MoState Update with Art Haynes and Corey Riggs. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Missouri State Sports Network.